Welcome to One Insight. My name is Rich Litvin. I grew up in London and I now live in LA. And this is a podcast for extraordinary top performers. You see, I've coached some of the most successful and talented people on the planet. I see what most people cannot see, and I dare to say what most people wouldn't dare to say. And what I know about success is that on the other side of it, it can actually be lonely. You can feel like more of an imposter the more successful you become. And when you're the most interesting person in the room, you're actually in the wrong room. I coach around insight. Life looks one way, something happens, the world looks different, and your entire world changes. It can happen in an instant. And this podcast is called One Insight because a single insight can change everything. In a moment, you're going to hear me coaching Sarah. Sarah has a background over 17 years as a licensed professional counselor, over 7 years as a coach to top performers. And Sarah is wired to work hard in order to make a difference. If you are listening or watching this, I've got pretty much no doubt that you get what that means. Me too. I am wired to work hard to make a difference. Those things make me feel good. And I've learned over the last 15 years to slow down, to do less, to leverage my time and my impact. And so we play this game, Sarah and I, where I begin to show her how she sees the world. We can't do it for ourselves, but I begin to show her that she's looking through this lens of work hard if you really want to make an impact. And actually, there's a moment in your career, there's a moment in your life that you'll get to when working less can have more of an impact. When you get to leverage your time, your impact, your focus, and your commitment. I had real fun playing with Sarah because I understand how she thinks. Because I think that way too. And I've had to rewire the way I show up in the world. I call this one leverage. Enjoy. Hey, Sarah. So we were just talking before I hit record. We just spent some time together in Santa Fe, New Mexico. You're a member of 4PC. And one of the things we talked about as we were about to head off was what could we do over the next 3 months that could have a real jump in our life and career, that could really have an exponential effect? What are 1, 2, or 3 things that can have an exponential effect? And you said, I'd love to talk about this in this coaching conversation. So tell me more about your side and we'll see where we go.
Yeah, I loved the concept of multipliers because I think so much of the time there's so much I want to do. And I'm spending time as CEO of the company. I'm spending time coaching my clients. I have a lot of people reaching out to connect with me and I'm actually really enjoy that. So then I end up maybe losing sight of what is most important to move the business forward.
Right. So I'm hearing a number of distinctions right now. The first one is, have you done an energy audit recently? And if you don't know what that means, tell me.
I do know what it means. I probably haven't done one recently, but I am mindfully thinking about it almost every day as part of my daily check-in and sort of getting ready for the day.
I think there's something more than the constant thinking about it. The tool is very simple. For anyone who's listening, you can Google my name, Rich Litvin, and the words energy audit, or you can grab a piece of paper and draw a line down the center. And you have 2 columns simply. What energizes me and what drains me. And what you need to do, where it will become helpful, Sarah, because it's people, places, things, habits, and thoughts are the 5 buckets that I've seen are really valuable. So people, places, things, habits, and thoughts. What people in your life are draining you and which people are energizing you? You know, which aspects of, you may have heard me share this before. I once had a client say to me, well, my mum drains me of energy. And I said, well, all the time, you want to cut her out of your life? And she said, no. And what we worked out is to create a way that instead of going back home on a Friday night to the childhood home she grew up in where all her stuff would come up, she'd meet her mum for lunch on a Thursday afternoon. in a public place, in a restaurant, where they'd meet as two adults and two peers. And so you can shift the energy of a person who's draining you without necessarily removing them completely from your life. So that's the first thing. I'd consider doing an energy audit formally. And I encourage you to do that at least once a quarter, because it will really kind of show you what's going on, what's taking energy away from your life, and what's energizing you.
Yeah, excellent idea. I have it actually printed off, but I haven't done it. So that's good.
Yep. It formalizes it. It makes it powerful to do that. Then I heard a distinction. Well, let me use this distinction: leverage. I'm always fascinated by leverage. I want to see what's the simplest thing I can do that'll have the greatest impact. What's the least amount of activity I can put in that can have the biggest impact? That interests me. I like to play that way. So I'd consider looking at, once you've done the energy audit, where am I putting a great deal of my energy? And what if it could be effortless?
That, I think, is where we should play, because my winning strategy is work hard. And that's what has gotten me a lot of success in life. But I'm certainly, in recent years, the last year or two, really trying to switch into effortless success. And so many things have become so much easier. But I still think there's something there that I'm not seeing the big picture or connecting the dots to be able to do that.
Are you familiar with something called human design?
Tell me more.
I'll say it simply: it's beyond my pay grade. I don't quite understand it. It's a modality that includes everything from the Enneagram to Kabbalah and the Tao Te Ching. And when someone used your human design to tell me my profile, I said, no, you must have typed me wrong. Because they said, what your human design means that you're meant to wait to respond. And I said, no, you don't understand. That's not how I operate. I'm the guy who makes shit happen. I know how to make stuff happen. I work really hard at it. And that's why I've had a lot of success. And I spent 3 years reflecting on this. It can't be right. It doesn't make sense. So I want to put aside human design. I don't know whether that's a great modality or not. But I sat with this idea, this new distinction. Wait to respond. That doesn't make sense. It's not how I operate. And it took 3 years of reflecting on this before I had the insight. Well, that's exactly how I love to operate. Waiting to respond. I thought it meant I'm going to sit on my bed or my couch with a giant bowl of Cheetos on my tummy, watching Netflix all day, waiting for the doorbell to ring. But what it actually means for me is I'm constantly throwing little pebbles out into the universe and waiting to see what comes back. So I run my events like that. I run my programs like that. I coach like that. And I've turned my whole life into, I wait to respond. But I'm not sitting at home doing nothing. I'm throwing little ideas out into the universe. Potential business partner here. A possible idea for a coaching program here. And I watch what comes back. And then I see where I get energized. I'm not suggesting this is your way of being. But what I'm saying is, what if there was a different way of being than working hard?
Yeah. Yeah. The best way of being for me is to follow what's energizing. And so that's usually intuition, or it's just what's exciting in the moment. The conversation or the client or activity even.
Was it your mum or your dad who modeled most, you have to work hard if you want to be successful in life?
Oh, probably my dad, but they both did it very, very well.
Tell me more about your father.
So he's an educator. Both my parents were educators. And my dad was quite extraordinary as a teacher. We're in the heartland of America. We're in Nebraska. He did outdoor education programs for students before anybody was doing them, won some awards for that. When I was a college student, maybe high school and college, he went back to school to get his doctorate. Then he became an educator at the college level and taught teachers how to teach. He's, a mountaineer. He's climbed all the 14ers. done marathon running, done the Pikes Peak Marathon multiple times. He still never slows down. He's just one thing to the next thing to the next thing.
Yeah.
And it gives him great fulfillment. And as an adult now, as I observe him and love him, it looks exhausting.
As he's still alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting to sit down with him at some point and ask him, hey, who modeled for you? Who taught you that you have to work really hard and be relentless to create whatever you want to have in life?
Yeah.
And what we often find is some of these habits that we have are patterns that go back generations. And we don't see it. We just think most people are unconscious. Oh, why? Of course you have to work hard to have success. That's just how it is. Well, for some people, and actually, was it modeled for you? So just a quick aside for those people who are listening, when I asked, and for you too, as you're a coach, when I asked, was it your mother or your father who modeled this? I didn't know what your answer would be. I didn't know you'd definitely say it was one of them. Usually that's the most common answer. Yes, oh my God, it was one of them. And sometimes that doesn't hit home, that question. But often it really hits home because, oh my God, I heard you sigh when I asked you the question. And so, oh God, of course, yeah, that was mum or that was dad. And we feel it. So that was an interesting exercise for you. I really encourage you to map out your family tree for not just to see historically who came before you, but what patterns and beliefs came before you.
Oh, I'm very aware and could guess. But I think the conversation with my dad is probably a good one, and my mom. She's also highly educated. She went back to get a second or a third master's degree when I was in elementary school. So they both worked hard to make the world a better place in humble ways through teaching and through having foster kids and that type of a thing.
Well, look, they've raised a daughter who works hard to make the world a better place. From your background as a therapist, the work you do as a coach right now, that's all that your heart is in. I've got to make the world a better place, and I'm going to work hard to do so, and feel fine about it. But we get to this place, if you were raising a young kid, it would make sense to raise them with this little chip in their mind, work hard. But what we don't ever tell kids is that there could be a price that you'll pay. There will be a price that you'll pay. And I want to warn you now to watch out for it. And the trouble is that price isn't usually paid for 30 years or more. And it's usually around about 40s, actually, sometimes 50s, that we get this, oh my God, I'm exhausted. I've been, especially in the giving careers, right? I was a teacher and then a coach, your background too. We've been giving and giving and giving to others. And it feeds us. It feeds our soul. It makes us feel alive. We're making a difference. But we've got to make space for ourselves.
Yeah.
So before I talk about tools like a multiplier, like the tiny things you can do that can leverage your impact over the next 90 days, we got to look at the way that you're wired, because otherwise you'll find a way to, I've studied every time management technique under the sun.
Yeah.
I see you smiling. And I could teach everything from David Allen's Getting Things Done to you name it. I've studied it all. And I used to teach that to clients. But if you take someone who's really busy doing a lot of stuff and you teach them to get better at time management, they thank you. And for about 2 weeks, they have less stuff on their plate. But then what happens is you've taught them to have a bigger plate. And they start to actually put more stuff on their plate because they're still wired the same way. Time management tools just help them do more stuff, not less. We've got to help rejig this mindset that has wired you to work hard in order to make a difference, but to work really hard in order to do so. And my goal for my clients, I'll finish this piece if you hold that last thought. My goal for my clients is to help them to become lazier and lazier as time goes on. Not lazy sitting on the couch watching Netflix all day. Lazy as in, I'm working in my zone of genius, which means when I do 1, 2, maybe 3 things before 9 a.m., I'm the only person on the planet who could do those things. And when I'm done for the day.
Yeah, that sounds delightful. You saw me smile and make a little sound because I've hired a business manager.
Mhm.
And she's been hilarious because she's like, oh my gosh, how did you ever get all of this done when it was just you? And just this week, she said to me, oh my gosh, it's only the two of us. Like, we need to add more people to the team to get all these things done because I continue to. I think I'm a visionary. So I have all these great ideas and I'm quick start. So I want to have them happen quickly and I want to move into action. And that does not always create space.
Yeah. Space is where miracles occur. So you need to do two things. You need to create, as a visionary, you need to create space up front for dreaming and scheming and for doing activities like this, an energy audit, interviewing your family to find out the patterns that are in you that you can't even see yet. So there's space up front. And you're a support person to help you do this. You need to create space down the road. You need space on your calendar down the road because you are going to create new ideas, new initiatives, new projects really, really fast. And if there's not time blocked out so that in April, I'm only working 2 weeks. In May, I've got a whole week off. Your calendar will be jam-packed for the rest of your life because that's what visionaries do. We dream, we scheme, we come up with new ideas. And when you hire an implementer, all they want to do is make stuff happen. So there's a bonus of having this person with you. And the drawback is she's now going to help you have more ideas in order to do more stuff, and you'll have even less time, which means you'll make even less impact.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've upped my quality of how I'm giving away my time, but I'm still not, it's my growth opportunity to continue to work on finding space.
Well, let's pause for a second, Sarah, and check in. Are you complete? Is there somewhere else to go?
So we've got 2 multipliers identified. One is to the energy audit, and the other is to create space. And it feels like there may be more.
Of course it does. Because you're wired to say more, more, more.
And I'm a maximizer. So I think, we have this opportunity. What else?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to put it to you that what if that wasn't the case? What if the best thing you could do for your life over the next 3 months is one single thing, the energy audit? What if I was only allowed one single tool as a coach for the rest of my life, I had one single tool I could use with a client. I wasn't allowed to ask any other questions, just one single tool. I'd ask one question. What do you want? That's all I'd ask them. What do you want? What do you want to create? And then I'd give them the energy audit. And then week after week, we'd come back to the energy audit. And I'd help them remove every person, every habit, every thought that drains them of energy. Week after week, that's all we would do. Remove something, shift it, increase the things that energize them, remove the things that drain them. Everything they wanted would come. You see, right now where you are in this moment, and this is where I love to use Zoom because we have this physical box around us. If you're listening, you have to imagine we're on a Zoom call and you can see us with this box. Your energy is limited because of all the things that you're doing that excite you, but all the things that drain you too. And so your ability to see is limited like this box I'm in. But just out there is a new possibility. And just out there is a new connection. And just over here is a new idea. And you can't get them because there's no more energy left in your tank.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you can come back to me once you've done this, once you've created the white space and say, hey, can we go deeper? But I refuse to go there today.
Okay. I'll do it. In fact, this is the only thing I have on my schedule this afternoon. I'll do it when we get off the call.
That's great.
And I won't go upstairs, which then I get distracted to do other things. I'll just do it and see what comes up.
Nice. And I put it to you, it can be simpler than you think. What if you could do it in 12 minutes or less?
Yeah, I think I could.
Yeah. I think a great question for you is, what if it was easy?
Yeah.
Have that as a question as you're beginning to think about what's coming next. What if it was easy? And I encourage you to have your support person watch or listen to this episode.
Yeah.
So they get a sense of how you think. I have a new assistant right now, and I'm teaching her. I'm the weak link in the chain. I'm the one who's always going to say, oh, we can squeeze something in there. It's in 3 months' time. I've got nothing on that day. I know it's a free day for me, but this only take half an hour.
Right.
What happens then is 3 weeks later, we look at the calendar and, well, let's squeeze something else in there. And by the time the 3 months have gone, that day's no longer an empty day. It's full. But I don't notice because it's now just a full day on my calendar. My assistant has to be stronger than me. And she has to be able to stand up to me. I'm teaching her. I can sound like I know what I'm talking about. Out in the world, I can have a big impact. But here, me thinking about my life, I'm the weak link in the chain, and she needs to be stronger than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we're there, Sarah. And I say that with a smile because before we started, you said to me, hey, sometimes on these podcast episodes, you say, I think we're there, and I'm listening in, and it feels to me there's another place we could go. And you have full permission to say we're not there yet.
We're there. I mean, it's valid because it is my winning strategy to do more, want more, try for more. So to just simplify it, I do think the final piece for me is to commit to you to do it. The energy audit, to work with my business manager on that and just report back to you. And I can do that in the app because I know if I say that to you and I commit to doing it and that I'm going to check back in with you, I will do it.
Great.
So that will help with my own passion around the commitment, I think.
Great.
Okay.
And we're there.
All right. Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Laura. You can cut it there. That was perfect. Yeah. And it's funny, even that desire, I think we can go deeper. Like there's a connection. Whilst you're not wrong, there are probably times when I could go deeper with somebody that it looks like there's an insight, but there's a deeper insight. You're a coach, you'll catch things that I don't catch even. I put it to you that your frame of reference is always what's next? How can we go? Where can we do more? So start paying attention to that. Just start noticing.
Yeah, even I think as a coach, that's a good thing for me to be aware of because I tend, I have a huge capacity to go deep and keep going. And, not all clients keep up with that. And so just even knowing that and checking in, I try to be, of course, collaborative and co-creating with clients. But
especially, Sarah, as you start to work with more and more extraordinary people, I have something I call a thinking partnership. I have 30-minute calls with my clients, and we're often done in 10, 15 minutes because they've got the insight and they're good to go.
Yeah.
I'll create space to go deep with them or with other people when needed. I'm not afraid to do that. I do very deep work. And the more and more extraordinary the people are who come through the door, the higher performer they are, the less they need that.
Yeah. The other thing that's super interesting is as a multiplier, I'm always in do mode. Mm-hmm. What do I need to do to make this happen? And you really shifted me into, well, no, back to slow down to speed up. Okay. It is a do, but it also is creating space and, shifting priorities. I'm thinking, do I need to make a list of the 50 neurodiverse impact leaders and reach out to them? It's very different.
Yeah.
Good for me.
I mean, what you could do is say, what's the name of one leader I'd love to speak to? That's it. And you might be done for the day with one name, but the next day you might say, oh, let me Google them. Mm-hmm. The day after, I'm going to reach out to them. I mean, slowing it down that much will actually have more of an impact. You'll be surprised at what it does.
Yeah. It's really good. It's good. Nice aha with that. So thank you.
Look, I get you. There's a reason I keep this little guy on my desk because I have to remind myself constantly.
Yeah.
All right. For most of human history, it wasn't called coaching, it was called leadership. And it's what I love to do, to coach people, to lead people, and to mess with people's thinking. If you'd like more of this, or if you'd like to learn more about our community of extraordinary top performers, go to richlitvin.com/oneinsight.